Welcome everyone to this first of a series of video blogs in which I'm going to go over the processes and how I went about creating a music track for a game called Affinity Aeon Rising. I've just got here on the main screen the web page, and I've put a link down below for you to check out this game. It's pretty cool. It's actually set in a futuristic world where technology meets elemental natural forces, and magical heroes are going up against machines. Now this particular track is meant to be implemented in the combat level of the game, where the player is fighting these machines with their magic. So I called the track Machine versus Magic. It's pretty on the nose, but I thought it was appropriate. So before I started composing any music, I thought about what I wanted to try and convey in terms of the emotions and the environment and the atmosphere basically of the game. So I knew that I wanted to, being a combat level, it needed to be adrenaline fueled, needed to have that aggression, excitement, but also some fear and some panic, a bit of dread in there. But also you need to have that feeling of confidence and determination that you can win, you can defeat this machine. In terms of atmosphere and the environment, the game is minimalistic, but set in this sort of cold, dark, sort of sterile environment. So I knew that the music had to reflect that cold, sterile, futuristic, synthetic atmosphere as well. So regarding instrumentation, I knew that I wanted to use distorted guitars with some moderately fast riffs, which that would convey the aggression that I was going for. And in terms of the drums and percussion, I knew that I wanted that to be synthetic, drums, not the acoustic drums. I wanted a bit of distortion in there, in that synthetic drums, with maybe some alarms or sirens, something to convey danger. I also wanted to use some big like synthesizer lines to carry some of the melody, and that would add to the futuristic element of the game. And then I wanted to add some guitar effects, some whammy bar and tremolo and some weird bends and things like that, that would also add to the bit of hysteria or that unbalanced, you're going to unleash any moment type of feel. And then also I knew I wanted to add a eeriness to the game, so I wanted to use like a haunting piano melody line or something like that in there. So these are the sort of thoughts I had already from the beginning before I got anything down recorded. So I'll just show you, I've got my Pro Tools session here with the track already completed, and as you can see here I have my instrument tracks, which is these across here, and I have Battery 4, which is a drum machine by Native Instruments, and I have another track here with Evolved Mutations, which is a cinematic percussion instrument. I have my bass guitar here, my V-metal guitar, which I'll go into later, and Electricity, which is another instrument, which is another guitar. Then I've got Absinthe and Massive, two synthesizers, and another synthesizer, Vacuum Pro. So before I go into that too much, if I just change these screens over, I went with a tempo of 120 beats per minute, nothing too fast, but the guitar riffs were going to be playing in 16ths, so that was going to be fast enough, and just using a standard 4/4 time signature. And the key, it says here C major, but it's not in C major, it's actually in D, and it's actually using a Locrian mode combined with a bit of Romanian, Hungarian gypsy type stuff, because I've sort of just bend the rules a bit and use a couple of different notes out of the Romanian and Hungarian scales, but mostly it's in Locrian mode. Okay, so I use that scale, the Locrian mode, because it is dark and aggressive and mysterious, and just really does sound eerie and a bit off. So that adds to the dramatic feel of the track. Now, I'll just go through how I set this, routed up my Pro Tools session. So as I said before, we've got the instrument tracks here, and each instrument track, I've got the insert which instrument I'm going to use. So obviously with battery 4, I've inserted battery 4 in there, and that's the instrument here. And you've got the different drum kits, and I've chosen a drum kit called TerraCore kit. Really cool drum kit. It just has some, apart from your standard kicks and snares and hi-hats, that sort of thing, it does have some cool distortion effects, which I'll just demonstrate here. So these sort of type sounds I really liked. It just conveys that danger for me, and you've got some nice kicks and snares. So that's the drum kit there. Along here I've got inserted in these instrument tracks, it's called Vienna Ensemble Pro, and that's a hosting service type software. So if I click on this there, it brings up this dialog box, and it's basically showing you when you're connecting to this server. And I'll just bring this up. So if I bring this over here, this is the Vienna Ensemble hosting software, and I put in and insert any of these VSTs or instruments that I have on my computer. So you add plugin, and I've got all my different instruments there, divided up by the companies that make them. But yeah, it's really cool. And then obviously you have to route different MIDI channels to each instrument, things like that. So in this instrument I'm using a cinematic percussion that's made by Heaviosity, and it's called Evolve Mutations. And I've just got a few instruments here, which is this LPS Tonal Epic, Scorefare Menu 3 and 5. They're just different percussion loops. I've got a unhinging tremolo, which is like a guitar instrument, and a haunted piano type sound in here. This is all part of the Evolve Mutations and Evolve Mutations number 2. So that's this instrument track, like I showed before, connects to this Vienna Ensemble, and I've got here 5 different instruments that I then will go into Pro Tools and assign MIDI tracks. So you've got here the Atmos tone, the Score Menu 3 and Score Menu 5, the unhinging tremolo, and the haunted piano. So those 5 tracks there are connected to this Vienna Ensemble Pro in this instrument track. Then you've got here the SR5 bass guitar, which is in this Vienna Ensemble instance, and this instrument is made by Promeny, and it's a really cool virtual instrument simulating a bass guitar. It's a sampled bass guitar, Stingray 5-string, and it's really cool instrument. It basically has your 5 different strings, pickup and hit noises, natural harmonics, different effects and slides and scrapes, things like that, and you get a really realistic bass guitar sound. And each of the different articulations and slides effects all have key switches. But we'll go into more of that later when I show you the actual part. Now, then here I've got the V metal, which is the guitar instrument. I'll bring that up for you. And that's also made by Affinity. And it's a sampled guitar of, let me remember, it's actually an ESP Alexi Blackie version, and it's basically a really cool heavy metal guitar, like, you know, sampled down to the for down tuning to C, great for all types of metal, and it's got many articulations. So you've got your 6 strings here, but it also does a 4th chord, you know, a flattened 5th chord, your 5th chord, sharpened 5th chord, a 6th chord. You've got add 9 chords, power chords, sus4s, octave chords. It's got a massive amount of different guitar effects and harmonics. It's just really cool, and we'll go into that later. Okay, then I've got Electricity, which is another guitar, and I use this one mostly for lead guitar, and it's made by Virtu, and a little bit more complicated to use, particularly with the key switching. There's heaps of articulations with this instrument, but you can make really realistic lead guitar parts, particularly, but all guitar parts. But I use this instrument for my lead guitars. I just find it a little bit better than the Affinity one, but Affinity, the V metal one, is great for riffs and just, you know, just crunchy metal type stuff. Alright, then I've got my Absinthe synthesizer here. Yep, Absinthe, which here, and Massive, all but done by Native Instruments, and then Vacuum Pro, which is by Air, and comes with Pro Tools. And so they're my 3 synthesizers in this track. Now, when I started with the track, I basically played around with the guitar first of all. I didn't really touch the drums or bass or anything like that. I just thought about, I want to just create some cool riffs. So here's my MIDI tracks that are assigned to these instruments. So this is the V metal guitar. So you've got different key switches here. So you've got my single note, and certain velocities will be a muted note like this, and then a bit harder it's an open stringlet note, and if I hit it at full velocity I get a harmonic. Now I've got my 5th chord and my sharpened 5th, my flattened 5th. So you've got all your different articulations there, and so yeah, that's basically I started with the track improvising with this instrument, and let's go into what I came up with. So this is just the intro riff I came up with. So you can see there I just chucked in a harmonic. It's pretty cool. And then let's go and have a look at this a bit closer. Then the main first riff of the song comes in here. So you get it. So here you can see how where I'm using the key switches down here, and that just is a single note being played, and at these velocities here, the big velocities are open strings, and these ones here are muted notes, which is so putting it all together, you get that nice riff. Now the next section, the pre-chorus that comes in. So you can see here I've used this key switch to turn into a fifth chord. And then here I changed it back to the single note just for these quick notes in here. And this is your main chorus type riff. Oh, open there. So this is here is a flattened fifth chord I've just chucked in there. Bit of real tension and anguish type sound to it, which is I really love. And using this A flat flattened note there is really cool. This is the bridging section. So you can see there's a lot of key switching going on here. So what I'm doing is using a fifth note on this major beat here, and these notes here are just a single note muted string. So I'm changing from the fifth chord to the single string, fifth to single, back and forth. But okay, and then we get to the second major riff, which is the theme B. This is where you can really hear this Locrian Romanian bug scale coming out. Chucked in a nice harmonic in there. Pre-chorus, and then into the chorus again. Cool, and then basically at the Q end, the track repeats and loops around. So that's the guitar part that I came up with, and let's go on to the bass guitar now. So with the bass, in most metal, bass just follows the guitar part very closely, and is played at an octave lower basically. So let's have a listen to the bass. This is just the intro section. very similar here with key switching. What I'm doing is changing from legato to non-legato playing. Okay, so you got that's just the main riff there. Let's just scroll ahead and listen to this pre-chorus. So just got a couple of slides in there between the notes. Nice little effect going on there. So you've got this just the legato sliding between the notes, but then here I've added in a key switch that adds in a slide effect. So I'll just play that again. So this key switch is, that's here is basically stopping this note from ringing out too long. So you basically just play the string and then put your palm on it to stop it ringing out. Just get a nice staccato feel to it. Okay, and then we go into now theme B. Nice little slide there. That's pretty much the bass part, so it's just really following the guitar part at an octave lower, just with a few little differences and some sliding effects, things like that, so pretty cool. Now just go to the next guitar part, which is this lead guitar. Let's have a look at that, what's going on here. So I've got a unison bend in the beginning here, with a bit of modulation and pitch bend. So just so yeah, got a bit of a pitch bend and some modulation here on this unison bend. Nice cool effects with this electricity instrument by Virtu. Check it out. So this is a cool guitar slide, which just introduces the song into theme A. But yeah, so this unison bends just creates some nice tension. Nice tension there. Yep, that brings into the song into theme B, and then I've got that lead guitar coming in here again just before the second chorus comes in. That's pretty cool. Just a little bit of a different effect than used last time. Play that again. Pretty cool. Alright, so that'll have to do it for this vlog. In the next vlog I'll go through the drum kit, the Battery 4 Terra Core kit by Native Instruments, and go through some of these cinematic percussion loops that I used from the Evolved Mutations sample library, and just see how all that layers on top. But I'll do that next vlog, so catch you next time. Bye.